We have a grounding practice in store for us today. And for prompts, we're going to grab a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, we can make it work without it, but something similar in size. We are going to use it for some support. So you do want something sturdy, and that's something that will provide some stability. All right, so we'll take that block, place it at the top of the mat, and we're going to start in Shavasana today. So coming down onto the back. Anything comfortable for the legs, you can keep the knees bent, feet planted. Same thing for the arms, anything that feels good for you. And since we are focusing on a grounding practice today, maybe allowing one hand to come to the heart and one hand to the belly. And when we say grounding, we're just talking about connecting with the physical sensations of the body and our external environment. And if it feels okay, you can go ahead and close the eyes, start to take your focus inward. And just noticing how it feels to be you in this moment. Checking in with your feelings and emotions. What's your energy like? What's it like to be you? And just remember to make this observation without judgment, just allowing yourself to be exactly as you've shown up in this moment here. And then let's check in with the body. So I always like to do a scan starting from the soles of the feet, traveling all the way up to the crown of the head, and just looking for feedback from the body, looking at each body part, noticing any tension, tightness, noticing where you feel soft or open. And same thing with regard to the observation here. No judgment, just allowing the body to be just as it is so that we can honor what's needed in our practice for the body today. And then once you've finished that physical scan, bring the attention back down to the feet. So the feet are the first point of contact that we make with the earth, right? With our environment. It allows us to ambulate and move around. So maybe even lifting all 10 toes and letting them back down, or wiggling all 10 toes and bringing them back. Maybe pointing and flexing the feet. Just notice how the feet feel here. And then wherever the feet are touching the earth, whether it's the soles of the feet or if it's just the heel of the foot that's resting on the mat, just notice that point of contact. And maybe on the next exhale, imagining that point of contact that the foot is making with the earth to get even heavier. And not so much melting into the earth, but rather even more solid, like you've sent the breath into the foot. It's getting heavier. And the feet will support us today in our practice. So let's feel strong and rooted in the feet. Imagining our feet are like anchors, supporting the body and keeping us connected. And now bring your awareness to the breath, just observing your natural inhales and exhales. If you still have one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly, you can keep that if that still feels good. Maybe taking both hands to the belly here. Just observing where the breath lands on the inhale and the space in the body on the exhale. And then on the next exhale, see if you can soften the muscles of the belly. And on the next inhale, keeping those muscles soft, sending the breath all the way down to the bottom of the belly. Keep that belly soft. And then exhale, let the breath travel back up and out through the nose. And these aren't big belly breaths, these are just natural. Inhale and exhale. Soften the belly. Inhale, exhale. And then start to set up your Ujjayi Pranayama, the victorious breath. We'll use this breath today to keep us tethered to the mind and the body in our practice. So to set up your breath, you'll find a slight constriction in the back of the throat and begin breathing in and out through the nose, creating a whisper sound with this exchange of air flowing in and out through the body. And then set up a pattern of breath that you can maintain for the duration of class today. And oftentimes, it's just the practice itself that can create a grounding feeling. And it's this connection with the breath that we have that keeps us tethered to this moment. So the mind is present with all the physical sensations of the body in this environment, on our mats, in this space. We'll start to invite in some movement here. So bending the knees if they're not already, and then drawing the both knees into the chest. And then option here to either hold in stillness or maybe find a little rock from side to side. But taking movement or stillness, honoring what the body needs, what's calling to you here. And then we'll replant the feet. Keep the knees bent, arms come out to the side like a T. And on the exhale, let the legs fall over to the left. And let the legs be heavy. Release the weight of the legs to Earth's gravity. And then just notice how you feel here in this shape. What sensations are happening in the body? What feelings are coming up? And then can you use the breath to soften and allow yourself to be present for the sensations in this shape. On the next inhale, bring the knees back up to center. Exhale, let them fall over to the right. And our sides are different, so you've been observing here how this shape might feel different than the other side. What feels different about this shape on this side? And then maybe connecting with that breath and allowing yourself to use the exhale to soften and surrender to this pose. On the inhale, bring the knees back up to center. Let's walk the feet out to the outside edges of the mat and then let the knees fall in toward one another. And just pausing before we move on. And then when you're ready, we're going to roll over onto a side and we'll pause there for just a moment. We've spent a little bit of time on the back, so just noticing how the back space of the body feels here. Maybe enjoying this breath of air on the upper part of the back, the midsection, the low back, the hips, the back sides of the legs. And then when you're ready, press yourself up to a seat. And we're going to give our feet a little bit of love here. So you don't have to come into Sukhasana, but it might be easier. So our easy seat with one leg crossed in front of the other. You could do this with one foot bent, one knee bent, and the foot planted. But we're going to take our foot, excuse me, Bruce Wayne, excuse me, buddy, there you go. And we're just going to give our foot a little bit of love. So we'll start with a little massage, just massaging out the heel, traveling up to the inner arch of the foot, and then the ball of the foot. And giving some love to all 5 toes here. And then we're going to interlace the fingers between the toes. Yeah, I know. It might feel weird. It is weird. I know. We're playing with our feet. I know some of you are going to hate this, but trust me, your feet will love you for it. All right. And we're just going to take these little circles. So see if you can just be gentle with this movement. So using the strength of the hand and the arm to really be the one to guide the ankle, the foot around the ankle, instead of using the strength of the foot. And we're just getting some of the synovial fluids moving in our joints here. Even just circulating blood into our tissues in the foot. And then switch directions. And then release the interlace of the fingers. And then we're just going to patting the bottom of that foot. Yeah. All right. And then switching sides. All right. And giving the other foot some love, massaging out the bottom of the foot. Getting into that heel. So our feet do so much for us. And I think we often forget to give them a little love too. And then find the interlace of the fingers between the toes. And then find that little rotation of the foot. Again, see if you can relax the foot. Even bending the toes a little. And then switch directions. Okay. And then releasing that interlace, and then just find that little pat in the soles of the foot. I know, I love you, Bruce Wayne. Yes, you're a very good boy. Yes. All right. And let's meet in tabletop pose. So Hands are about shoulder distance apart at the top of the mat, and shoulders are stacked over wrists. We'll take the fingertips wide, pressing into all 10 fingers, and the knees are stacked below hips, about hip distance apart. Neutral spine, and your gaze is at the center point of the mat, maybe about 4 inches above the tips of the finger. And we'll take a few rounds of cat and cow here. So inhale, hammock the belly, tilt the sit bones behind you, and then pull the heart forward. And this is our cow pose. And then on the exhale, push the earth away, round the spine, tilt the sit bones down, let the head be heavy. Reach the back space of the heart to the sky. And then we'll take breath by breath movement here. Inhales to cow, exhales to cat. Inhale, cow, exhale, cat. Let's do 3 more like this, using your breath to guide this movement. And after your third cat, we'll sink the hips back, let them rest over the heels. Take your child's pose. Belly become and rest on top of the thighs. It might feel nice to take a wide knee, child's pose, so knees come out to the sides of the mat and the belly hangs down between the legs. And if the forehead doesn't rest down onto the mat, you can stack palms, forearms, you can stack fists. You can even allow the chin to rest in the hands, so coming up onto the elbows might be a nice option. Just as a reminder, this pose is available to you at any time during your practice. So if you need a moment to pause, to reset, to catch the breath, you can come here at any time. Inhale, come back up to tabletop. Exhale, step the right foot back, step the left foot back, plank pose, and then shift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. And this is our first down dog of the day, so taking any movement that you need here, pedaling out the feet, maybe bending and straightening one leg at a time, shifting the hips from side to side. This is just kind of an exploratory movement, checking in with the body, noticing how you're feeling. Maybe coming back to those tender points that you observed during the body scan, noticing how it feels here in this shape. And then finding some stillness. We'll bend the knees, gaze forward. On the exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. We'll meet in forward fold. And then let there be a generous bend in the knees here so that the belly can rest on top of the thighs. Hands can reach down and rest on the earth. If you have that block nearby, it might feel nice to rest the hands on the block. And then allow the spine to round and maybe fully release the weight of the head. So kind of shaking the head from side to side. And then sliding those shoulder blades back down onto the back. So the shoulders like to come up and hug at the ears. See if you can slide those shoulder blades down. And now in this forward fold, keeping everything the same. If you feel good here, you can stay here. If you're feeling a lot in the back sides of the body, you can stay here. Or maybe start to straighten the legs. Draw the belly button in toward the spine, keeping the core active here. And see if you can find an equal distribution of weight in the full surface of the foot. So oftentimes we're leaning one place or the other, maybe leaning too far forward into the balls of the foot, and sometimes too far back just into the heels of the foot. See if you can find the full surface of the foot to support you here, pressing into the balls of the feet and into the heels. And then on your next inhale, we'll rise up, coming into our mountain pose. Head and shoulders come up last, palms facing toward the top of the mat. Let's inhale, sweep the hands to the sky. Exhale, hinging forward, forward fold. We'll plant the hands, step the left foot all the way back, release that left knee down onto the earth. Inhale, reach the hands to the sky. Keep pressing into that right foot, finding grounding. So imagine feeling that heaviness of the foot. Maybe it's like a cement block here, keeping you grounded. And then that back foot, see if you can press the top of that foot into the mat. And then activating the legs here, so creating opposing forces of action, drawing the right femur bone into that hip socket, and then the left femur bone is going to plug up into the left hip socket, kind of creating this like spiraling effect. Shoulders stacked over hips, hands can be reaching to the sky, or they can come to heart center. Stay here for a couple cycles of breath. Keep pressing into those feet. On the exhale, we'll bring the hands down and then start to shift the hips back, coming into our half split. Now you can keep a slight bend in that right knee. We want to avoid hyperextending that knee. You can even keep a deep bend in that right knee if that feels better. And then let's keep this passive today in terms of the spine. So allowing the spine to round, and even again coming back to the heaviness of the head. Maybe releasing the neck, finding a little shake of the head from side to side. Inhale, rebend into that right knee. We'll plant the hands to frame the right foot. Tuck the back toes, lift that left knee off of the mat. And then step the left foot up to the top of the mat, forward fold. We'll inhale to chair pose, sinking the hips, reaching the hands to the sky. And then just checking in with how you've come into this pose, noticing how this shape feels, what's happening with the body. Starting from the ground up, so grounding down into those feet, using the full surface of the foot to support you. Noticing where the knees are, so I want the knees behind the toes. And notice if the knees are starting to buckle in. See if you can keep the knees in line with the center of the foot. And then you control the depth of this pose. So sinking deeper is going to make it more intense. You'll feel more sensation. And then lifting up will decrease the sensation of this pose. And then the spine. So find a natural curvature in the spine. So I think oftentimes we come into this and we kind of make this into a back bend, but see if we can find a natural length in the spine. Hands can be at heart center. Maybe they're reaching to the sky, palms facing in toward one another. Come back to the breath. Notice the sensations that are happening in the body here. On the exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, we'll plant the hands and step the right foot all the way back. We'll release the right knee down and tuck the toes, and then inhale to rise up. And now our sides are different. So just doing that same little check-in on this side, coming into those cues. So pressing into that left foot, find that grounding. Press into the top of the right foot. Sorry, bud. Pressing into the top of that right foot. And then find those opposing forces of action, drawing that left femur bone into the left hip socket, right femur bone up into the right. So that spiraling effect into the body. Shoulders stacked over hips-ish. Hands can reach to the sky or they can come to heart center. Keep pressing into the feet. Come back to that breath. On the exhale, plant the hands and then shift those hips back, coming into your half split. Taking a gentle or even generous bend in that left knee. And then rounding the spine, releasing the weight of the head. Maybe even finding that little shake of the head from side to side. On the inhale, we'll rebend into that left knee. We'll plant the hands to frame that left foot. Step the right foot up to meet the left. Forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step both feet back. And lower all the way down onto the belly. So for today's class, we're just going to use Cobra Pose for our Vinyasas. So keeping the hands planted underneath the shoulders, but we have light contact here. Press into the tops of the feet, draw the elbows in toward one another. On the inhale, lift the chest up, reach the heart forward, gaze as a foot or two in front of you. Exhale, replant the hands, tuck the toes, and push yourself up to plank. And then shifting the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Let's inhale, reach the right heel to the sky. Exhale, step or walk to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Inhale, half lift, palms to shins, flat back. Think like our tabletop pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the hands to the sky. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Pause, maybe even close the eyes here and just check back in with the body, noticing anything that's shifted or changed since we started practice, and coming back to that breath. If the eyes are closed, you can go ahead and open them. Inhale, reach the hands to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. We'll plant the hands, step that left foot all the way back, release the left knee down. Let's keep the toes tucked here, and we'll inhale, come up to our low lunge. Start to press into the ball of that back foot, and then firm down into the right foot. So just like we did before, finding that weight, that heaviness, finding that anchor feeling in that right foot. And then pressing into the ball of that back foot, start to firm up the legs. And we're going to come up and hover that left knee off of the mat. And then on your next inhale, coming all the way up, crescent pose. And so I want you to really experience that again. I want you to notice what it's like to come into crescent from the low lunge. So we'll release back down, come onto that left knee, keep the back toes tucked. Start to press into that foot. So even there, notice what muscles are activating and pressing into that front foot. On the inhale, rise up, crescent pose. And then coming into how you come into this pose. So notice what's happening in the hips, noticing what's happening in the legs. Maybe drawing both hip points toward the top of the mat, reaching that back thigh. And then just like in our chair pose, you control the depth of this pose. So sinking deeper is going to increase the sensation of this pose, and lifting up will make it a little bit easier. Hands can be at heart center. Maybe they reach to the sky. Come back to the breath. Noticing the sensations that are happening in the body, what emotions are coming up. On the exhale, we'll plant the hands to frame that right foot, and then step the left foot up to the top of the mat to meet the right, forward fold. Inhale, chair pose, sink the hips, reach the hands to the sky, or maybe hands come to heart center. Come back to the breath, noticing what's happening here in your body. How do you feel? Can you use the breath to surrender and soften? Inhale, reach the hands. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, palms to shins, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, step the right foot all the way back now. Release the right knee down. And then inhale, low lunge. Tuck the back toes. Start to press into that ball of the right foot. You can keep the hands reaching, maybe bring hands to heart center. Might be nice to take the hands to the hips. And then on the inhale, start to press into the feet, press into the ball of that right foot. Find the activation in the legs and hover that right knee off of the mat. Inhale, rise up, crescent. So we'll do that one more time, releasing all the way down, coming onto that right knee. Start to firm up into that ball of that right foot. And even then, notice what fires up, what's activated in the leg and in the hips. Pressing into that left foot here, activating the muscles of that left leg. And then inhale to rise up, crescent. And then notice what's happened with the body. How did you land in this pose? Maybe drawing both hips toward the top of the mat, reaching that right thigh to the sky, and adjusting the depth of this pose that feels good for you in the body. Hands can be at heart center. Maybe they reach. Inhale, sweep the hands to the sky. Exhale, plant the hands to frame that left foot, and then step the right foot up to meet the left, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold, plant the hands, step both feet back, plank pose, and lowering all the way down onto the belly. Keeping the hands planted underneath the shoulders. Press into the tops of the feet, draw the elbows in toward one another. Inhale, cobra pose, reach the heart forward. Exhale, tuck the toes, push yourself up to a plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, gaze forward. Exhale, walker step to the top of the mat, forward fold. Let's grab that block and let's take it on the highest setting here. We'll take the tops of the hands onto the top of the block, and then we'll inhale to half lift. So when we take our half lift, we're sending the sit bones behind us. Back is flat here. And then start to shift weight into the right foot. So bend the left knee, getting light on the left foot. And then draw that left heel into the left hip. And then step the left foot all the way back. And then start to get light here on the hands. Press into the ball of that back foot, pressing into the front foot. Inhale, sweep the hands to the sky, crescent pose. So this is another way that we can come into crescent. And so I'd like us to try that again, maybe reverse engineering. So taking the hands to the block here, bend into the left knee, step the left foot up to the top of the mat. Forward fold. We'll take our half lift, flat back, start to shift weight into that right foot, get light on the left, hug that left heel in, and step the left foot all the way back. Inhale, crescent pose. So maybe noticing how that feels. Compare it to coming down from low lunge and coming up, how it feels from this height in the body and shape in the legs. Noticing how that feels. We'll come back to our crescent pose. Let's bring hands at heart center here. Keep a bend in that front knee. Revisit your alignment. And come back to the breath. Noticing anything that's coming up for you in this shape. On the exhale, we'll hinge forward, hook that left elbow over the right thigh. And if it doesn't hook, that's okay. You can just float. But press into both feet here, using the strength of the legs and the strength of the core to twist and open to the right. Start to bend into that left knee. Step the left foot up to the top of the mat. We'll keep the shape of this twist. So we're in a twisted chair on the right. Now left elbow can stay on the outside of the right thigh, or if that feels, it might feel better to take that left elbow on the inside of the legs, maybe resting on the inside of the left thigh. And then just noticing, so sometimes this left knee likes to pop out. See if you can keep both knees in line in your twist here, evening out the hips. Find that grounding in the feet. Come back to the breath. Inhale, chair pose. Just staying here for one cycle of breath. And on your next exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step both feet back, plank pose. And on the exhale, lowering all the way down onto the belly. Press into the tops of the feet, draw the elbows in. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, tuck the toes, push the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, gaze forward. On the exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat, forward fold. Take that block. We'll find our supported half lift, creating a little lift. Flat back, sliding the shoulder blades down the back here. Start to shift weight into that left foot. Get light on the right. And then take that right heel in toward the right hip. Send that right foot back. Pressing into both feet here. Inhale, reach the hands to the sky. We'll do that again, just experimenting. So bringing the hands back down to the block, bending into that right knee. Step the left foot up to meet the right. And then we'll try that again, shifting weight into the left foot. Get light on the right, draw that right heel in, step that right foot back, pressing into both feet, starting to ground down here. Inhale, reach the hands to the sky. So just noticing how that feels. And do you have a preference between how you've come into this shape? And so we'll do one more little exercise here with this, and one more experiment in our next wave. Let's bring hands to heart center. We'll start to shift the weight forward and then twist to the left, hooking that right elbow over the left thigh. And again, remember, it doesn't have to touch, doesn't have to hook. In fact, you can keep this floating, but keeping strong and find strength in the legs, grounding down in those feet, using the strength of the core to open the torso to the left. Start to bend into that right knee. And we're coming up to that twisted chair at the top of the mat, stepping the right foot up to meet the left. And then again, you can make that adjustment, maybe taking that right elbow onto the inside of the right thigh. Do what feels good for you and your body. And then notice, is that right knee coming out in front of that left knee? See if you can keep both knees in line. So we're using the pelvis, the hips, to bring the knees back in towards center. Come back to that breath. Inhale, chair pose, reach the hands to the sky. One round of breath here. On the next exhale, hinging forward, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, we'll plant the hands, step both feet back, plank pose, and then lowering all the way down onto the belly. Draw both elbows in toward each other, press into the tops of the feet. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, tuck the toes, push yourself up to plank, shift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Let's take a cleansing breath here. Release any air that's currently in the lungs. And then a big deep breath in. Part the lips, heavy sigh out, let it go. Very nice. All right, we have one last little wave to go. We can set our block to the side. Coming back to downward facing dog. Inhale, reach the right heel to the sky. Exhale, step the right foot all the way through between the hands. Now here, start to press into the feet. Find the activation of the legs. So call upon that action and what parts of the body were engaged in those two other exercises when we came into our crescent pose. So pressing in, inhale, reach the hands to the sky. And if you'd like to do that again, you can exhale, bring the hands back down, press into the feet, inhale, come back up. Come back to the breath. On the exhale, we'll power lunge. Arms sweep back, fingertips reaching behind you. Maybe the arms are about in line with or parallel with the earth. Stay as deep as you can into that right leg and let the torso hover over that right thigh. Start to bend into that left knee. We're taking this into chair pose, so keeping the arms just as they are, stepping that left foot up to meet the right, and we're in this kind of power chair pose. See if you can really reach, opening up the chest and the heart. Keep the spine long. Inhale, sweep the hands to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step both feet back, plank pose, and lowering all the way down onto the belly. Draw the elbows in, press into the tops of the feet. Inhale, lift the heart. Tuck the toes, push yourself up to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, let's get it on the other side, shall we? Inhale, reach the left heel to the sky. Exhale, step the left foot between the hands, staying high on the ball of that back foot. Find your activation here. Pressing into the left foot, pressing into the ball of the right foot. Find the activation in the legs. Call upon the activation that you used from our low lunge up, from our forward fold up. Inhale, reach the hands to the sky. And then freedom to experiment with that again. So bringing the hands back down. Inhale, reaching back up. Come back to the breath. Allow the sensations of the body to come up. Noticing how you're feeling here. We'll take that power lunge. Exhale, sweeping the hands behind us. Allowing the torso to hover above that left knee and finding as much depth in that left leg as you can take here. We're almost done. This is our last shape on this side before our cool down. We'll bend into the right knee, taking this into chair pose, stepping that right foot up to meet the left. Chair pose. Keep those arms reaching. See if you can slide the shoulder blades down. Find length in that spine. Come back to that breath. Inhale, chair pose, reach the hands to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step both feet back, plank pose. And lower all the way down onto the belly. Draw elbows in toward one another, press into the tops of the feet. Inhale, cobra. Tuck the toes, push yourself up to plank. Shift the hips back, downward facing dog. Yes, we got it, guys. All right, letting go of any air that's currently in the lungs, and then a big deep breath in. Part the lips, heavy sigh out, let it go. All right, however it makes sense for you to get there, we're gonna meet in a seat, so you can step, walk, maybe jump through, but we'll meet in a seat here. All right, so we're taking butterfly pose. We'll bring the soles of the feet together and see if you can contact each toe to the opposite toe, the heel, the ball of the foot. You have this nice little space maybe in the arches of the feet. And then knees come to the outside edges of the mat. Find a little length in the spine. We'll let the hands rest onto the ankles, maybe the calves, anywhere that feels comfortable for you. We'll just hold here for a couple moments, introducing this shape into the body. As we approach this more passive part of our practice, it still becomes even more important, in my opinion, to come back and stay connected with that breath. Noticing any tension in the body where you're holding on. And maybe using the next exhale breath to soften. Allowing the body to surrender to the shape. And then you can stay here if you feel good here, or maybe take this into a little bit of a forward fold. So we'll allow the spine to round, holding the belly in, allowing the spine to round one vertebrae at a time. Chin comes into the chest, and then releasing the weight of that head. On the next inhale, we'll walk the hands back in, very gently taking the torso back upright. We'll take the hands behind the knees and just gently bring the knees in together. We'll extend the feet out in front of us. We'll take a seated forward fold here. We'll flex the feet, toes coming in toward the body. Find some evenness in the sit bones, and then sit up tall, finding that natural length in the spine. Inhale, sweep the hands to the sky, maybe take the gaze up. And then exhale with the spine still round, hinging forward and pausing at your first line of resistance. Hands can come down and rest anywhere that feels comfortable. Keep the spine long. Maybe using the contact of the hands to help guide and pull the heart a little bit further forward, reaching for those toes. Letting the heart be grounded. Now, if you feel good here and you like this active variation of this forward fold, you can stay. You can keep the spine straight, even walking the hands forward if you have space for that. Or you can make this passive. So just again, allowing the spine to round, folding the head in toward the legs, taking the chin in toward the chest, just letting the head be heavy. Coming back to that breath. Maybe using the breath to soften and surrender. And then on the next inhale, we'll walk the hands back in, gently bringing the torso upright. And then we're going to meet on our backs. So coming back to not quite Shavasana. I'm going to face this way. Let's take the arms out to the side like a T. And we'll cross that right ankle over the left thigh. Flex that right foot. And if you can, see if you can use the strength of the inner part of that right leg to open up that right knee and press it forward toward the top of the mat. Maybe wiggle the toes. And then on the exhale, you're going to let the feet and the legs fall over to the left, letting that right foot plant down onto the earth. Hopefully you don't disturb Ollie or Bruce Wayne. And then notice what it feels like to be in this shape on this side. And if that right foot doesn't land on the earth, you can actually use that block to rest the foot on. So bringing the earth up to your foot. And if this shape doesn't feel good, you can take another twist, maybe just uncross that ankle and then let the knees fall over to the side, kind of like how we had started, or any other twist that feels good for you in the body. And come back to that breath. We'll inhale, come back up to center. We'll uncross that right ankle, and then switching sides, taking the left ankle over the right thigh. Flex that left foot, and see if you can draw that left knee toward the top of the mat. Wiggle the toes. On the exhale, take the legs over to the right. Planting that left foot now onto the earth. And our sides are different, so what you did and how things felt on one side can be different on the other. So just observe how you feel here. Make any adjustments or modifications that you need. And on the inhale, bring the knees back up through center. And then any final movements, any shifts or adjustments that you need to make. We'll say 3 more cycles of breath. And then find yourself in your final resting pose, your Shavasana. And then when you get here into your Shavasana, your corpse pose, we'll let go of any controlled breathing that you're still holding on to. We'll let that go. And come back to your natural rhythm of breath. Notice where the breath lands on the inhale. Notice where it creates space in the body on the exhale. And then maybe revisit that scan, starting from the soles of the feet, traveling up the body, looking for feedback, noticing how each body part feels, any shifts or changes that have happened since you started today, all the way up to the crown of the head. And then bring your attention to the points of contact the body's making with the earth. And see if you can imagine on your exhale, feeling the weight and the heaviness of the body, connecting with the earth, grounding you, and supporting you here in your rest. Take 3 more exhales to allow the body to continue to ground down here. And enjoy these next few minutes in your Shavasana. Start to bring awareness back to the body. Maybe wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe find a little rock of the head from side to side. Pardon me. You are welcome to stay just as you are and take additional time in your Shavasana. If you would like to finish class with me in a seat, please make your way up in whatever way makes sense for you. And if it makes sense for you in your practice to bring hands at heart center, you can join me for this Anjali Mudra. I could Consider it a great honor and privilege to sit in this seat and share my practice with each and every one of you. And so I thank you for allowing me to guide you in practice today. And I look forward to guiding you again tomorrow. The light in me truly sees and honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste.